Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to our channel where we delve into the fascinating, often perplexing, and always captivating stories that shape our world and its most distinguished figures. Today, we're embarking on a truly remarkable journey, one that takes us from the hallowed halls of Buckingham Palace and the grandeur of a royal wedding to the enigmatic and isolated nation of North Korea. We're going to uncover an astonishing tale from the past, a peculiar episode involving commemorative stamps, illicit revenue, and a surprising thread of diplomatic exchange that continues to this very day. Before we plunge into this extraordinary narrative, do remember to show your support by liking this video. It truly helps our channel reach more history enthusiasts like yourselves. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming explorations into the annals of history. Now, cast your minds back to the summer of 1981. The world watched with bated breath, captivated by a spectacle of pomp and pageantry that seemed almost fairy tale-like. On July 29th, a radiant Lady Diana Spencer walked down the aisle of St. Paul's Cathedral to marry His Royal Highness Prince Charles, the heir apparent to the British throne. It was a day of immense joy, a global celebration of love and new beginnings that transcended borders and cultures, etched into the collective memory of millions. The images of the young couple, the iconic wedding dress, the cheers of the crowd, and that famous kiss on the Buckingham Palace balcony became instant classics, symbolizing hope and a new era for the British monarchy. Yet, amidst this wave of universal goodwill and adoration, an utterly unprecedented and, frankly, bizarre chapter was quietly unfolding thousands of miles away, orchestrated by one of the world's most reclusive and authoritarian regimes, North Korea. In an astonishing turn of events, and in a move that can only be described as a peculiar display of communist propaganda, blended with audacious profiteering, North Korea unilaterally issued a set of commemorative stamps in 1981. And what, you might ask, was the subject of these philatelic tributes from the Hermit Kingdom? None other than the very wedding of King Charles, then Prince Charles, and Lady Diana Spencer. This was done, I must emphasize, entirely without the royal couple's knowledge, permission, or consent. These remarkable stamps, which debuted on the international market just 2 short months after the globally televised July wedding, were not intended for domestic use within North Korea. Oh no. Their primary purpose was far more strategic and, indeed, more sinister. These were designed quite deliberately to target and entice international collectors, particularly those in the lucrative and often discerning world of philately. The ultimate objective, as archival documents from the British Foreign Office would later lay bare, was to generate a substantial influx of much-needed hard currency, thereby providing a crucial, albeit illicit, boost to North Korea's perpetually struggling economy. You see, for decades, North Korea has grappled with profound economic challenges, compounded by international sanctions, and a centrally planned system that has consistently failed to provide for its populace. In its desperate quest for foreign exchange, the Pyongyang government has long resorted to an array of clandestine operations and shadow dealings. These activities, part of their extensive black market enterprises, have notoriously included the trafficking of weapons and, perhaps most brazenly, the large-scale counterfeiting of international currencies. The sale of these unauthorized royal wedding stamps, therefore, was not an isolated incident of quirky state-sponsored art. It was a calculated, albeit peculiar facet of a much broader, deeply entrenched strategy to accrue significant profits through illicit means. It painted a vivid picture of a regime willing to exploit any avenue, however unconventional, to bolster its beleaguered coffers. News of these audacious stamps naturally filtered back to British diplomatic circles, prompting a mixture of incredulity, exasperation, and, perhaps surprisingly, a touch of dry British wit. One particularly memorable reaction came from a British diplomat stationed in Beijing, who, in a dispatch back to London, wryly commented that the stamps were pretty excessive even for them. This observation, coming from an official familiar with North Korea's often eccentric pronouncements and actions, speaks volumes about just how extraordinary this philatelic venture was perceived to be. The diplomat, clearly amused by the sheer audacity of the move, then facetiously proposed a rather brilliant countermeasure. He jokingly suggested that the General Post Office in the United Kingdom should retaliate in kind by issuing its own collection, a geriatric Dictators of the World series, prominently featuring North Korea's revered founder, the late Kim Il-sung. One can almost hear the chuckles echoing through the Foreign Office as this idea was mooted, a testament to the British ability to find humor even in the most bewildering of international incidents. The stamps themselves were a fascinating, if entirely unapproved, visual narrative of the royal wedding. The 4 distinct designs showcased a variety of iconic moments from that momentous day. Viewers could see depictions from the solemn and majestic wedding ceremony itself, held within the magnificent confines of St. Paul's Cathedral. Other vignettes featured scenes from within the opulent grandeur of Buckingham Palace, capturing glimpses of the private world of the monarchy. And, of course, the collection would have been incomplete without portraying one of the most enduring images, moments captured on the famous palace balcony where the newlyweds shared their first public kiss as husband and wife, much to the delight of the cheering crowds below. Intriguingly, at least one of these reproduced images was undeniably a photograph taken by none other than Lord Lichfield, the official wedding photographer renowned for his artistic eye and privileged access. The fact that his work, a piece of British heritage, was replicated and disseminated without so much as a whisper of permission underscores the brazenness of North Korea's actions. It was not merely a generic representation, it was a direct appropriation of specific copyrighted imagery intended for profit. Despite their controversial origins, these North Korean royal wedding stamps quickly became a curious item in the philatelic world. They were notably sold by the esteemed British stamp dealer Stanley Gibbons as part of a comprehensive royal wedding set. The asking price for this unusual collection was a not insignificant £600. To put that into perspective, in 1981, £600 was a considerable sum, roughly equivalent to several £1,000s in today's money, highlighting the perceived value and rarity of these unauthorized collectibles. The existence and sale of these stamps naturally piqued the attention of British officials, particularly those with an interest in preserving royal history and philatelic heritage. Records indicate that attempts were made by British governmental representatives to acquire these peculiar stamps, not for diplomatic reasons, but specifically for inclusion in the prestigious Royal Philatelic Collection, a testament to their unique, albeit illicit, place in history. Now, here's where our story takes an even more intriguing turn, revealing a fascinating paradox in international relations. Notwithstanding this entirely unapproved tribute and the clear impropriety of North Korea's actions, it is crucial to note that North Korea and Buckingham Palace have, in fact, maintained a channel of official correspondence over the years. This might seem utterly counterintuitive given the circumstances, but diplomacy, as we know, often operates in mysterious ways. For many years, the North Korean government consistently dispatched birthday wishes to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, a seemingly conventional act of state-to-state courtesy. And in a reciprocal gesture, the Queen, ever the embodiment of diplomatic grace, would respond with congratulations on North Korea's National Foundation Day. This exchange continued for decades, a quiet, almost understated thread of communication, amidst often strained and complex geopolitical realities. This tradition, remarkably, has continued into the modern era. In 2021, for instance, Queen Elizabeth II sent her congratulations on North Korea's National Foundation Day, just as she had done countless times before. And following her passing, His Majesty King Charles III, upon ascending the throne, upheld this established practice. In 2023, he too sent good wishes for the future to mark the same occasion, demonstrating a continuity of diplomatic protocol despite the historical peculiarities and ongoing political tensions between the two nations. This juxtaposition is truly extraordinary. On one hand, we have a regime brazenly exploiting the imagery of the British royal family for illicit financial gain, a move that would typically strain relations. On the other, we observe the meticulous adherence to diplomatic niceties, an exchange of polite greetings between heads of state. It underscores the complex, often contradictory nature of international diplomacy, where formal channels can persist even in the face of underlying tensions and historical grievances. It speaks to the idea that even the most estranged nations often maintain a thin, yet vital thread of communication, however symbolic. This peculiar episode of the North Korean royal wedding stamps serves as a fascinating footnote in the annals of both philatelic history and international relations. It's a story that encapsulates the audacity of a desperate regime, the global reach of royal celebrity, and the enduring, often perplexing dance of diplomacy. It reminds us that history is rarely straightforward, often presenting us with bizarre detours and unexpected connections that challenge our preconceived notions. So, what are your thoughts on this astonishing tale? Did you know about these unauthorized stamps? What does this curious blend of illicit activity and formal diplomatic courtesy tell us about the intricate world of international relations? Please share your insights and opinions in the comments section below. We always love to hear from you and engage in thoughtful discussions. Thank you so much for joining us on this remarkable journey through history. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories, and hit that notification bell so you're always in the loop. We look forward to seeing you in our next royal update or historical exploration. Until then, take care, and thank you for watching.